Well, it's time for another Sunday night short, and unfortunately this has been not a good Sunday. One of my Yamaha GTSs, the one I use pretty much every day, was stolen last night, and well, it didn't get far. They're pig heavy machines, and as soon as they had to start pushing it uphill, the thieves quit. Fortunately, leaving it propped on the side stand and not in a heap of broken plastic on the floor. But even so, the damage is not going to get fixed quickly. I'm going to have to get a new ignition lock assembly, and then it's just replacing a bolt on one of the handlebars, and we should be up and running again. I'd also had problems with my Honda Beat, which is my other usual means of transport, and most of this video is actually me doing a little bit of investigative work to find the source of the problem. I really didn't feel like videoing much today, so although I have, I think, repaired the car, I stole a cap off the other Honda Beat and installed that, and hopefully that's fine. I've changed the plugs as well. I need to take it for a decent test run with backup in case it quits on me again. And right at the end, I've just put a few seconds of video on the damage done to the Yamaha. Now fortunately I do in fact have another car. I have a Mondeo Estate that is loaned to my friend Jenny for her classic racing. She runs a couple of Hondas in the CRMC racing series, and it's the racing season's over, so she shouldn't even need it on weekends. So that got delivered and I can get to work no problem. But I really hope I start having some better luck soon. It seems like too many of the little YouTube machinist community have been hit by crime just lately, and hopefully there'll be better news on projects and other stuff next week. So we'll see you all again. Thanks for watching. We're out in the back lane again behind my house, and the little Honda Beat has let me down. Monday last week, driving into work, it was misfiring from time to time, and it actually stalled on me 3 times and was very reluctant to restart. So I abandoned it in the car park, got a lift home, been using the bike, got a friend to take me into work and pick the car up, and it made it nearly all of the way home without any problems. But I guess, well, half a mile from home it quit and completely wouldn't restart it, and it had to get pushed. And it may only be a small car, but it is 3/4 of a ton. You know, they didn't skimp on crash regs on this thing in Japan. It's not like one of the French microcars, which are, you know, they call them a quadricycle rather than a car. This is a proper car, just on a small scale. So anyway, I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. It's sometimes it feels like fuel, sometimes it feels like electrical. It could actually be a combination of both. I've got a little bit of a suspicion about the fuel pump relay, which has a reputation for breaking a joint. I mean, I just fired this thing up. It started first flick of the key. When I got home, you know, it would do nothing but backfire. So I suspect it probably is water in the ignition system. The difficulty is getting to the engine. That little slot there is as much of the engine as you can see on a daily basis. There is a panel behind here you can remove that gets you to the air cleaner box, but the main access to the engine is a panel under the hood. Now if this was a factory roof, this rear window would unzip and I could fold it back and get to the panel, but because it's an aftermarket hood, or possibly even a really good homemade, it doesn't have that. I mean, it's not in good condition either, and it leaks really pretty badly. So I do have a used factory hood, and I'm going to take this one off. Whilst it's completely off, I'll get the access to the engine and I'm going to swap the hood over. Well, with the back half of the hood removed, we can now get to the engine access panel, and well, I can see a total of 2 screws in there. One at this corner and one over there, neither of which that match. Oh, there we go. 656cc, 3-cylinder, single overhead cam, multiple throttle bodies, 4 valves per cylinder, and roughly 64 horsepower, which was the legal limit for the class of car in Japan. Unlike just about all the other Kai cars, this is normally aspirated, no turbo or supercharger. Now, as for my running problem, well, it certainly doesn't look like damp was an issue. There's a little bit of dust on the HT leads, but nothing that would worry me a huge amount. I'll take the distributor cap off and check for moisture in there. The running problems generally only develop when it's up to temperature, and it's a little bit weird, a bit hard to diagnose. You know, the old saying, all fueling problems are caused by electrics, and all electrical problems, electrical misfires, are actually caused by fueling. So anyhow, I'll clean the HT leads, I'll take a look at the plugs, all the usual stuff. Okay, what I've found so far, this is the coil lead, and you can see there's a bunch of corrosion as it entered the distributor cap. These are the plugs in order. There's quite a lot of deposits. It's quite white on number 1. Number 2's kind of much more what you'd expect. Number 3, we're again a bit white, some nasty deposits on the centre. I think I'm going to see if I can find another set of plugs for these. It might be a difficult to get a set. Wouldn't hurt to run some fuel system cleaner through it. I've got a little bit of an issue with the distributor cap. That screw came out fine, that screw came out fine, and the head of the screw down in there, which, yeah, just in there is no head of the screw. It's been snapped off. and the remains of the screw is stuck in the distributor cap. So we'll have to see what we can do about that. Well, I think we've found a highly likely culprit for the problem, and that is that the centre carbon brush on the distributor cap is pretty much completely gone, and I cleaned up the end of the rotor arm, but to be honest I don't think it's going to restore anything like sensible running. I might risk driving it round to the motor factors, but to be honest even that's probably not a good idea. At least the rotor arm looks good if I can only get a cap. The cap might, if I'm really lucky, be the same as the Honda Acti, which was sold in this country. If not, it'll be a question of contacting the Honda Beat people and see if someone's got one. Or they can be ordered, no problem at all, from Honda. They're pretty good about supplying spares, but of course it takes time to get it here from Japan. Well, this was the broken off screw, and I was able to just knock it out of the distributor cap. The distributor cap's probably scrap, and managed to drill down through the remnants of the screw, and then we should be able to go through the next size drill and peel it out of there and eventually clean it up with a tap. As you can see, this fair amount of rust in here, but should be fine. I think the rotor arm is usable if necessary, but I will try and get a replacement for it. I'm just going to take a stroll down to the motor factory and see if they can come up with anything. Right, here's my GTS 1000, and it was stolen last night, and they cut the wiring and tried to hot wire it, and they didn't put a screwdriver through the lock, but they've broken the steering lock and broken the ignition lock assembly, and I think they probably just overstressed the bolt there, breaking the steering lock. I've got to see if I can get this fixed today, because I in all likelihood need to use it for work tomorrow.